Have you ever wondered what it'll be like if the products and services that you use every day, that you rely on, were made by people that were actually not like you? Let me illustrate. We've all been in a car. We're familiar with the vehicle, either as a driver or a passenger. But what if somebody who does not drive a car actually made one? I'm legally blind. My vision is quite blurry. So what will my car look like? While it will have the regular engine and car body and tires, it will be missing quite a few things. There'll be no windshield, no side mirrors or rear view mirror. There'll be no headlamps or fog lights or brake lights or indicator lights. Right now, my car looks like the artwork of a 2-year-old. But let me upgrade that. That's my upgrade, a toy remote car. But the point is, it is important for makers to also be users. This car, while it will fit me, I'll not be able to operate this vehicle on the roads we have today. And while you may be able to drive cars on the road today, you will certainly find it very difficult to drive my car as it is right now. Now, when it comes to makers and users, often in the world of people with disabilities, they are missing when it comes to decision making regarding products and services they use every single day. And this has led to a global crisis. Let me share some information with you. Did you know that 1/5 of the human population today is disabled? 1.3 billion people. That equals the population of India or China, or 4 times the population of these United States. 50% of these folks are less likely to have a job or more likely to be in poverty. That's a lot of people. And let's look at the economics. If we were to add up the spending power of people with disabilities and their families, it will equal $8 trillion. That would be the 3rd largest economy in the world, right behind the United States and China. This is a huge on-top market. So the question is, how do we solve this problem? How do we go about making transformative change to include people with disabilities? Well, my proposal is, what if we started ensuring that people who are disabled are makers of the products they use? The first step is, we need to find makers within the disabled community. These are user innovators. These are people encountering challenges and already solving those problems. So our first step is to find them. And the second step is to empower them. If we empower them, they can not only solve the problems for themselves, but they can scale their solution across millions of people around the world. And we can finally have the change of an inclusive society that we seek. So the first step is, who are these user innovators? I'll be sharing stories of these phenomenal innovators and the aspects of life that they are tackling. These are aspects of life that we all take for granted, but I'll share you their plight, their challenges, and what they're doing to make sure that life is better for the disabled. Let's start with Carolyn Casey. She's legally blind from Ireland. She believes that if you're not aware of a problem, then virtually it doesn't exist. Her goal is to make disability get on the global business leadership agenda. Her goal is to make sure that corporations include disability in their diversity plan. And this year, Carolyn introduced disability center stage at one of the world's largest platforms, the World Economic Forum. And she got none other than Sir Richard Branson, the chairman of Virgin Group, as her sponsor. At the World Economic Forum, she launched her campaign, #Vulnerable500. This is targeted at the Fortune 500 companies for them to include disability in their boardroom agenda. Over 50% of them have never done this before. Let's look at mobility. All of us walked into this room. For people who are visually impaired and rely on a white cane, mobility is often a challenge because their white cane is also their obstacle avoidance technology. They have to use their white cane to make contact with an obstacle before they know it's there. This is a problem that Calvin Crosby, who is blind from Usher syndrome, knows all too well. So today, Calvin is innovating. He is integrating the obstacle avoidance technology that you find in self-driving cars into his white cane, and he calls it the Smart Guider. Calvin is a user innovator. Let's talk about travel. Imagine you've spent a lot of time, energy, money planning for a remote destination trip. And upon getting there, the facility owners tell you, we don't know anything about disability, we can't accommodate you. This is what happened to Stacy and her husband. They are both blind, and this happened to be their honeymoon. How would that make you feel? After this unpleasant experience of going to a remote destination that ruined their honeymoon, Stacy is innovating. Stacy has leveraged this experience to embark on a project called Blind Travelers Network. It's a Yelp-like application. This way, blind travelers can check to make sure that wherever they are going to has the resources to give them a great experience for their travel. Stacy is a user innovator. Let's talk about wheelchairs. About 10 years ago, Sasha, through an unfortunate accident, became a wheelchair user as he became paralyzed. Oftentimes, his colleagues will invite him to the coffee shop. Hey, let's meet up, let's have lunch. He'll get into his car, drive himself to the location, get to the building, only to find out, I can't get in. Imagine the indignity of that. Sasha has faced this problem many, many times, and he decided to tackle it upon himself. He created a team, and with the efforts of Sasha and his team, today, if you check on Google Maps, you will see the accessibility feature. So Sasha has created an accessibility feature that 65 million people around the world who use wheelchairs will always know if their destination is wheelchair accessible. Sasha is a user innovator. Let's talk about indoor navigation. When you get to your destination and you get into the building, you have to find the room. For people who are blind, they simply can't follow the signs. They can't see them. And GPS does not work indoors. This is a problem that Chieko Asakawa knows all too well. Chieko and her team are innovating around this problem. The project is called NavCog. It is to provide indoor navigation to people who are blind so they can go from doorstep to the room that they are seeking. Chieko is a user innovator. Now, what if the room is a classroom? You're a student, you're in class, you're here to learn, but you happen to be blind and you're taking a science subject. Now, there are accessible technologies that can speak to you, but how will text-to-speech translate the complex organic molecule called butane? We're not there yet. Santiago Velasquez is a blind mechanical engineering student who knows this problem all too well. And after facing this for many years, he's innovating around this problem. He's working on a smart tablet that will feature tactile 3D to enable blind science students interact with charts, graphs, and histograms. Santiago is a user innovator. Now, what if the room you walked into was actually your workplace? At every workplace, there are lots of documents. It's still a printed world out there. how will the blind person consume content in such a workplace? This is the problem that Saqib Shaikh knows all too well. He is a blind Microsoft AI engineer, and this is the problem he's innovated around. With his solution called Scene AI, you can simply launch an application that will start reading whatever printed material is in front of you. This way, you can consume content at your workplace just like everybody else. Saqib is a user innovator. Think and Zoom, brain control for blind assistive technology. Now, while there are many assistive technology solutions for the blind, they often come with two drawbacks that I've noticed. One is they're mostly handheld. Through smart glasses, we can overcome this. But the second thing, they're all manually operated. Let's think about that for a second. All of you are sitting comfortably and looking at me. I do not think there's anyone in this room that's holding their eyeballs with one or two hands and manually operating their eyes. That's what the user experience feels like for people who are visually impaired that have to manually operate their blind assistive technologies. This is the problem that I set out to solve. And my solution is to introduce brain control to help people like myself control our assistive technology so we can be able to look, think, and zoom in to see better. Let's watch the video. I'm about to explain brain control for blind assistive technology, think and zoom. Humans have brain waves coming out from our brains due to electrical impulses from the neurons. And via electroencephalograms or brainwave readers, EEG readers, we're able to collect these brainwaves just like a thermometer collects our temperature. Now, this brainwave reader connects wirelessly to this mobile device that is running the Think and Zoom application, and by me simply thinking, I'll be able to control this device and zoom into anything I want to see. As you can see, I'm now wearing the brainwave EEG reader. I'm gonna use my thoughts to zoom into this digital device, which is running the Think and Zoom application. You see, Blind Assistive Tech has two drawbacks. One is hand-holding and manual control. Think and Zoom aims to take away the manual control and introduce brain control, so the visually impaired can look, think, and zoom. Here we go. That blurriness is visual impairment. It's layers of gray. And by me thinking, I'll be able to zoom into that business card.
Creating a world where visual impairment no longer steals dreams or kills careers. Kini is an OS single-player game as a winner of the Apple Worldwide Developer Conference 2015 Minority Scholarship.
Look, think, and zoom into a better, brighter future. Finally, how can we tackle this global crisis? I confess, we all are not Sir Richard Branson, and we are all not executives at Fortune 500 companies. But there are still things that we can do. There are still steps we can take. We can still be that disability champion that is needed today. For example, see disabled folks as capable, not incapable. Get to know someone with a disability. Hi, I'm Zuby. I'm legally blind. Volunteer at organizations that support people with disabilities. Lend them resources. Within this community, discover the innovators. Your resource can simply be sharing their stories, amplifying their work. And by taking that small step, you can get their story to be heard by those who are at the top. Folks, we have a disability crisis on our hands. We have $8 trillion of economic power. If we tap into that opportunity, we can actually improve the economies of all the countries where people with disabilities reside. And we can build ourselves a truly inclusive society. We can build ourselves a world we'll all be proud of. A world where visual impairment or disability for that matter can no longer steal dreams or kill careers. A world where we all can look, think, and zoom into a better, brighter future. The question is, what barriers are you going to break? Thank you.